Okay, let's continue on with orthography and spelling. Now, if you think Cebuano has weird spellings the way it's not pronounced, I think you should be asking the question, well, why aren't Danish and English spelled the way they're pronounced? So think about that, okay? Or even sometimes Spanish, why is it not spelled the same way it's pronounced? But once you know the rules, you can, even for French, but once you know the rules, like, it's easy to pronounce them. Anyway, Cebuano doesn't have as of right now, as of this day, as of this year, 2019, Cebuano has no standardized orthography. However, there is this kind of de facto orthography that people go by, okay? And this de facto orthography is what I've just been kind of going by with the way I spell words when I do these videos, okay? And again, like, there are regulating bodies that have their own orthography, but there isn't one standardized set. Like, you have the Visayan Visayan Academy of Arts and Letters, and then you have the Visayan Magazine, and you have so many other regulating authorities that do their own spelling, okay? But again, they're not officiated, like, they're not widely accepted. That's what I mean. So this de facto one is just what I just use, okay? The first point that I'll talk about, okay, is the O and the U, the O and the U. O, U, O, U. It's gonna differ from person to person because obviously everybody talks differently. But you have to understand the concept too that, Cebuano was a language that originally had 3 standard vowels, a, e, and u. A, e, u. Alright, so these vowels can be allophones. O and u can be allophones sometimes. And if you forgot what an allophone was, it's that they can be changed around and it won't change the meaning, right? And this is what I mean. Adto and pero, sometimes I see them spelled as adu and peru with the u instead of the o, okay? And of course you have your ug and your og, right? Ug, og, adto, adu, pero, peru, right? It doesn't change the meaning of the word if you change the vowel to something closer to that u. Sometimes it's an right? That Ilocano vowel, whatever they have in northern languages, or even in Goyon, that sound, right? Sometimes I hear that, but it's rare, okay? So adu, right? Adu, ado, that as long as it has that back rounded vowel, okay? It needs that back rounded vowel. Is it back rounded? I don't know. I know it's a rounded vowel. It needs that rounded vowel. So if you're a phonologist, please correct me if I'm saying this wrong. But I know it needs that rounded vowel, that o and u. Okay, I think it's a back rounded vowel, but please correct me if I'm wrong. And of course, it doesn't change the meaning because it's just an allophone. And of course with duk duk or damgo. However, this is one of the de facto things that I need to talk about right here on this last last box column. When you see a word that has an u or an o like that, or u-o, that last vowel, just all in all of these examples, that last vowel gets changed to an o, okay? So sometimes you can see bituon written as with just 2 u's, bituon, right? Bituon. Or for example here, tuk tuk or hung hung can be written with just all u's, okay? Tuk tuk, hung hung, right? And even buotan, right? Buotan, ginuo, they can all be written with u's. But the de facto spelling that a lot of people see is that last u or that last vowel gets changed into an o, the o, okay? And it's okay. That's perfectly fine and acceptable, okay? But this is like the de facto that I see almost everybody does. So I'm sticking with it, okay? Bituon, right? Buotan, ginuo, right? Ay, ginuo. So it's sometimes you'll hear people, or I'm sorry, you'll see people write it with 2 u's, ginuo, right? Ginuo, ginuo. It doesn't change the meaning because they're all allophones. Tuk, 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 right? Hung, 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 okay? As long as it's that last vowel, that changes. When you have the U and the O together, that last U or O or O, that last rounded vowel sound needs to be an O, okay? Moving on, moving on. So the hyphenated words, right? This hyphenated words. Hyphenated words, we use them because they do change the pronunciation of the word, right? It indicates an internal pause. Sip on, lui a, lung ag, right? Lung ag. However, we also can use them with reduplication. And this is one of the arguments, right? Sometimes if a word is reduplicated to mean one thing, you won't need to use a hyphen. So for example, tai tai, kasing kasing, wak wak, okay? These words are reduplicated, wak and wak, tai and tai, kasing and kasing, right? You don't need to put a hyphen there because this is already one word in itself and it means one noun or one thing. If you're gonna put a hyphen there, it's gonna change the meaning. Like, I don't know if there's a word that exists in Cebuano that's just kasing, right? But there's kasing kasing, which means heart, right? There's tai tai, which means bridge, and wak wak, which means like a monstrous witch, right? So, if you put a hyphen there, I mean, it might change the meaning, but it's just gonna look a little awkward. You know, of course, there are always exceptions, right? There are always exceptions. Sometimes I see ok ok written with a hyphen. Sometimes I see it not written with a hyphen. Ok ok, which means cockroach. And then last here is the important ones, right? So when you're going to be putting adjectives or nouns, yes, when adjectives and nouns are going to be used to reduplicate, put hyphen, okay? Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. It's just like a subconscious thing, but I know I need to start doing that. Like for example here, ka-init init, right? Because init is an adjective meaning hot, but when you're gonna reduplicate it, try putting a hyphen, yeah. Ngit ngit is one of those words like kasing kasing, tai tai, wak wak, right? Because ngit ngit just means dark, right? Ka ngit ngit. Ngit ngit itself just means dark, but I don't know if there's a word that's just ngit in Cebuano. I don't think there exists a word. I don't know. But I know ngit ngit itself is just one word, so that's why it doesn't need a hyphen. So that's just the really silly rules we have with hyphenation, right? And of course, like there are controversies using hyphens with the affixes, but that's probably going to be a video for another time because some of those affixes with the hyphenation I really don't agree with, and some of them I kind of do agree with, but we'll probably make another controversial video about that another time. And lastly, we have the E and the E, and on this portion, I'm also going to explain foreign loan words and borrowed loan words that are coming in from other languages, okay? Now, in Cebuano, the syllable structure can go with a vowel, vowel consonant, consonant vowel, consonant vowel consonant, or consonant, consonant vowel consonant, right? The most consonants it can take is just 2 consonants, 1 vowel, and then another consonant. It can have that kind of syllable structure, okay? And how do we determine what gets voweled or what gets E and E changed and what doesn't? Well, if the Cebuano Spanish borrowed loan words have existed before, like way, way, way long ago, okay? So if we use these Spanish loan words, like for example, delicado is one of the ones I wrote, right? It's actually delicado from Spanish, Delicado, right? Delicado, meaning delicate, right? But of course, you know, back then the e and the e are allophones, so it doesn't change the meaning, and it has been spelled as delicado, right? Sometimes that o gets changed to a u. Again, there are words like delicado that existed in Spanish borrowed loan words that have been Cebuanoized or Visayanized, Cebuanoized into the Cebuano language, and this is the result. We get something like this, delicado, and the meaning is totally different from in Spanish too. So Spanish borrowed loan words like that get time capsuled and frozen into Cebuano orthography. However, during colonial Spanish time, like real, actually serious colonial Spanish time, like a little later after the 1600, wait, is it 1600s? I think, yeah, after the 1420s was when it started. And okay, yeah, so after the 1500s, 1600s, around that time, 1500s, 1600s, definitely after those times, 1700s and 1800s, we get into that colonial kind of Spanish, right? The Spanish loan words, for example, tortilla, right? Tortilla, which means omelette, right? Tortilla means omelette. They get the Spanish words and even English loan words during the colonial times, right, get changed into Cebuano or get pushed into Cebuano orthography as it is. The important thing about this is that the vowels here, you see the vowels O, I, E, A, O. The vowels here remain they remain in their place. They don't change to, like unlike in delicado where it was an older Spanish loan word, but a little the I guess not so old, but a little more modern or a little more newer colonial Spanish loan words get changed into Cebuano orthography by keeping their vowels and conforming into the Cebuano inventory of sounds. So tortilla is spelled like this in Spanish, but when it gets spelled in Cebuano, it gets spelled as tortilla, okay, with a more accurate Cebuano spelling, right, versus a Spanish. Extranjero in Spanish means stranger or foreigner, right? A stranger, someone who is foreign, right? If you marry a foreigner or something like that, right? Extranjero gets changed into Cebuano as extranjero, right? Extranjero from extranjero. And again, it has to conform into Cebuano orthography, and the vowels keep their place. E, a, e, o, right? Extranjero, e, a, e, o. The consonants also conform to the orthography. Similarly, during colonial English times, and even up, I guess even up until today, which I'm not sure. That's a lot of gray area with the English language in the Cebuano language, but up here, right here, because remember, Cebuano doesn't use the E as an E, right? It spells it as an E, right? E. Up gets changed to apir, right? Apir. Apir, up here, gets changed into Cebuano orthography as apir, right? Because again, Cebuano doesn't have the sound, the instead it has an right? And that's the closest it'll take. So it gets changed from to a. And then here, that E, in Cebuano, the Cebuano E doesn't get pronounced as E. It gets pronounced as okay? But in English, that E is a long E sound, and then that long E sound is the corresponding E sound in Cebuano to the I. Up here, apir. So that's why it just conforms into Cebuano orthography that way, okay? And again, it keeps that vowel sound, just like in Spanish and just like in English. E, right? Up here, e, right? O, I, tortilla, o, I. It keeps the vowels. That's just during the more recent colonial times, but the more ancient or the more older colonial times, like back in the 1400s, 1500s, stuff like that, right? During the printing press and all that crap was the booming. These older words do change their vowels, unlike here where they keep the vowels. And lastly, would be like the post-World War, post-Cold War era, post-war era, right? And the introduction, or Cebuano introduced to foreign languages, and modern day English. So the modern English that we have, that you see in the news, foreign languages, right? If Cebuano were to borrow these words, it's gonna borrow these words and as it is in that language and probably put it in italics. It's gonna italicize it, or we'll probably put it in not parentheses, but in quotation marks. There you go. I'm starting to blank out because I have all these languages running in my head. But foreign languages, so if let's say you read a newspaper today in Cebuano, and it was talking about whatever topics, and it happened to talk about a language that was very unrelated to Cebuano. It was talking about maybe, I don't know, the Ukrainian language or the Yoruba language, right? And then it's gonna borrow a concept. It's just gonna probably put it in quotation marks in that. It's gonna have a sentence in Cebuano, quotation mark in, I don't know, Yoruba, Zulu, or whatever, right? Bantu languages, Xhosa, whatever, Xhosa, but whatever. It's just gonna put it in quotation marks, right? It's not gonna Cebuanoize it because it's now we're in this post-war era of spelling in which the orthography is slowly starting to get standardized and slowly starting to become more of a standard or gets crystallized in a way, right? Especially when the multilingual, mother tongue based multilingual education is in full effect. The Cebuano language needs to have a more standardized orthography. So this is just something I just want to share with y'all with the orthography in case you do get confused about some stuff.